Hey Capricorn, welcome back. Settle in because what I'm about to share with you from these cards is honestly leaving me a bit stunned. This is a general reading for entertainment purposes, so I'm interpreting the energy I see in these cards. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And remember, this isn't meant to replace professional advice. But I need to tell you what I'm picking up here, because the energy surrounding you right now is genuinely inexplicable. When I say inexplicable, I mean, there are forces moving in your life that you can't see, can't explain, can't rationalize with logic or past experience. Something massive is shifting in your reality, Capricorn, and it's not happening through your planning or control or effort alone. There's a bigger intelligence at work here, something that's been orchestrating circumstances behind the scenes while you've been going through what's felt like an endless stretch of uncertainty and waiting. I felt it the moment I started shuffling for you, this electricity in the air, this sense that you're standing at one of those pivotal moments where life splits into before and after. The old trajectory is dissolving and a completely new direction is emerging with such force that it's going to change not just your circumstances, but your entire understanding of what's possible for you. What I'm sensing is that you've been in this space of not knowing, of feeling stuck between what was and what could be, unable to move forward, but unable to stay where you are. That uncomfortable in-between space where nothing makes sense and you're questioning everything. But what these cards are showing me is that this wasn't wasted time. This was preparation time. This was the universe getting everything aligned perfectly, so that when you finally step into this new reality, everything clicks into place in ways that feel almost magical. So let's dive into what's actually happening in your energy field right now, because you need to understand the magnitude of this shift and how to work with these forces that are moving you towards something extraordinary. The first card I pulled for you is the Four of Cups. And when this appeared, I immediately felt this heavy, stagnant energy, like someone sitting in their own disappointment and completely missing what's right in front of them. In this card, there's a figure under a tree, arms crossed, staring down at three cups on the ground with this expression of dissatisfaction, of being so absorbed in what's not enough that they don't even notice the hand emerging from a cloud offering them a fourth cup, an actual gift from the universe that they're completely ignoring. What this card is revealing to me about your recent past, Capricorn, is that you've been stuck in this energy of disillusionment, feeling like opportunities weren't coming, like doors kept closing, like nothing was working out the way you needed it to. And I'm picking up that this wasn't just mild disappointment. This was deep frustration, maybe even some bitterness about how much you've tried and how little you felt you had to show for it. You're someone who works hard, who does everything right, who follows the rules and puts in the effort, and yet it's felt like the universe wasn't holding up its end of the bargain. So you withdrew, emotionally and energetically. You stopped getting your hopes up. You stopped looking for opportunities because you were tired of being disappointed. The thing is, Capricorn, while you were sitting in that protective numbness, life was actually trying to get your attention. Opportunities were presenting themselves, but you'd built such a strong wall around yourself that you couldn't see them or didn't trust them enough to reach out and grab them. This Four of Cups energy shows someone who's been offered something valuable but is too caught up in their own narrative of scarcity to recognize it. And what I'm sensing is that this has been your holding pattern for a while now, this space of being so guarded, so convinced that nothing good is coming, that you've accidentally been blocking the very blessings trying to reach you. But here's what's important: the fact that this card is showing up now, in a reading about your reality taking a new direction, tells me that this energy is breaking. That wall is coming down. Something is about to shake you out of this apathy in such a powerful way that you won't be able to maintain that protective distance anymore. Moving into the Strength card, and the energy completely shifts here. When I pulled this, I felt this surge of quiet power. This sense of someone who's been through the fire and emerged with a kind of inner confidence that can't be shaken. In the traditional imagery of this card, there's a woman gently holding open the jaws of a lion, not through force or aggression, but through calm, mastery, and spiritual strength. Above her head floats the infinity symbol, showing that this power is limitless, eternal, connected to something much greater than ego or physical strength. What this card is telling me about your current energy, Capricorn, is that you're embodying a completely different kind of power than you've ever accessed before. You've always been strong in the traditional sense, disciplined, resilient, capable of pushing through anything through sheer willpower. But this strength card is showing me something else entirely. This is about mastering yourself from the inside out, about having such deep self-knowledge and self-trust that you don't need to control everything externally anymore. The lion in this card represents your raw instincts, your passions, your desires, all the wild, untamed parts of yourself that you've probably spent a lot of energy trying to contain or suppress. And what I'm picking up is that you're learning to work with these parts of yourself rather than fighting them. You're integrating your shadow side, your emotional side, the parts of you that don't fit neatly into the responsible Capricorn image you've cultivated. This takes enormous courage, Capricorn, and what the cards are showing me is that you've been doing this inner work, whether you've named it as such or not. You've been in a crucible, being refined, being tested, being forced to confront parts of yourself and your life that were painful to look at. And through that process, you've developed this unshakable foundation of self-trust. You know who you are now in a way you didn't before. You know what you're capable of withstanding. You know your worth isn't dependent on external validation or success. This inner strength is what's creating the energetic shift around you, because when you carry this kind of power with quiet confidence, reality literally reorganizes itself to match your vibration. The Seven of Cups appears next, and this is where things get really interesting because this card is all about choices, illusions, and discernment. When this card showed up, I felt almost overwhelmed by possibility, like standing in front of too many doors and not knowing which one leads where. The imagery shows 7 cups floating in clouds, each one containing a different vision, a different potential future. Some hold treasure and beauty, others hold dragons and darkness. And the figure is standing there, trying to make sense of what's real and what's fantasy. What this is revealing about your current situation, Capricorn, is that after that period of feeling like nothing was coming, suddenly you're being presented with multiple options, multiple paths, multiple opportunities all at once. And it's actually disorienting. You've gone from drought to flood, and now the challenge isn't lack of opportunity, but figuring out which opportunities are real and aligned versus which ones are distractions or illusions. What I'm picking up is that these inexplicable forces surrounding you are opening doors you didn't even know existed, creating possibilities you hadn't considered, shifting circumstances in ways that are giving you genuine choices about your next move. But here's the thing about the Seven of Cups. It's a warning as much as it is a promise. Not every shiny option is what it appears to be. Some of these cups contain beautiful visions that have no substance behind them. Some contain things that look appealing but would actually take you off your true path. What this card is asking you to develop is radical discernment, the ability to see through appearances to what's actually true and solid. And this is where that strength energy becomes crucial, because you need that deep connection to your inner knowing, that self-trust, to navigate this field of possibilities without getting scattered or seduced by fantasies. The Seven of Cups is showing me that part of this reality shift involves you learning to distinguish between what you truly want versus what you think you should want, what serves your highest good versus what just looks good on the surface, what has real potential versus what's just an escape from doing the harder but more authentic work. The universe is testing your clarity right now, Capricorn, seeing if you can stay grounded and focused when you're being pulled in multiple directions. Now the Fool appears, and this card made my heart race when I pulled it because this is pure leap of faith energy, pure trust in the journey even when you can't see where you're going. The Fool stands at the edge of a cliff, sun shining brilliantly behind them, a small bag over their shoulder containing only what's essential, a white rose in their hand symbolizing pure intention, and a little dog at their heels representing loyal instinct. They're about to step off into complete unknown, and they're doing it with joy and trust rather than fear. What this card is telling me, Capricorn, is that this new direction your reality is taking requires you to become the fool, to be willing to take a leap that makes absolutely no logical sense, that you can't justify or explain, that everyone in your life might think is crazy. This is about releasing your attachment to security, to having everything figured out, to knowing the outcome before you commit. The fool doesn't have a plan. The fool doesn't have guarantees. The fool just knows, deep in their soul, that it's time to jump, and they trust that the universe will catch them. I'm picking up that there's a specific opportunity or direction that's calling to you right now, something that feels exciting and terrifying in equal measure. Something that would require you to leave behind the familiar and step into territory you've never navigated before. And every practical, responsible bone in your Capricorn body is resisting this. You want more information, you want more preparation, you want to know it's going to work out before you risk everything. But what the cards are showing me is that this new reality you're being moved toward can't be accessed through your old methods. You can't think your way into it. You can't plan your way into it. You can't make it safe and certain before you commit. You have to be willing to look foolish, to not have all the answers, to trust something bigger than your own understanding. The fool carries only what's essential, showing you that this journey isn't about taking your whole past with you. You're going to have to leave some things behind, some versions of yourself, some security blankets, some identities that no longer serve who you're becoming. This is simultaneously the most terrifying and the most liberating card in the deck. The Empress emerges, and when this card appeared, I felt this wash of warmth, abundance, and creative power. The Empress sits in a lush garden, surrounded by ripe grain and flowing water, wearing a crown of 12 stars representing her connection to cosmic cycles and natural abundance. She's pregnant, literally and figuratively, with creative potential, radiating this energy of bringing things into form through love and nurturing attention. What this card is revealing about the new reality you're stepping into, Capricorn, is that you're moving from scarcity into genuine abundance, from forcing and controlling into allowing and receiving. The Empress energy is the complete opposite of everything you've been conditioned to believe about how success happens. You've been taught that you have to work yourself to the bone, that rest is lazy, that if you're not struggling, you're not trying hard enough, that resources are limited, and you have to fight for your share. But this card is showing me that you're entering a completely different paradigm, one where things grow naturally when you tend to them with care, where opportunities multiply rather than disappear, where you're supported by visible and invisible forces in ways you've never experienced. What I'm picking up is that you're reconnecting with your creative essence, with your ability to birth new realities, not through force, but through alignment. This could manifest as literal creative projects taking off, as business or career opportunities flourishing, as relationships deepening and becoming more nourishing, as financial abundance flowing more easily. But what's really important about the Empress is the invitation to soften, to be gentler with yourself, to stop the harsh self-criticism and the relentless pushing. You're being asked to mother yourself through this transition, to give yourself the patience and compassion you'd give to something precious that you're helping to grow. The abundance the Empress offers isn't just material, it's emotional richness, creative fulfillment, a sense of being held and supported by life itself, rather than always having to do everything alone through sheer determination. The Page of Pentacles shows up next, and this card brings such grounded, practical energy to balance all the big spiritual and creative forces we've been talking about. When I pulled this, I felt this sense of humble dedication, of being willing to start at the beginning of something new and learn it properly from the ground up. The page stands in a field, holding a single pentacle up in the air, studying it with complete focus and curiosity, like a student learning the fundamentals that will later allow them to master their craft. What this card is revealing is that as you move into this new direction, you're going to be in learning mode, building new skills, developing new capacities, possibly quite literally going back to school or training in some way, or at least approaching something with beginner's mind and willingness to not already know everything. What I'm picking up is that this isn't about instant success or overnight transformation. Even though the energy around you is powerful and things are shifting rapidly, you're still going to have to show up and do the work. Still going to have to build something solid step by step. Still going to have to be patient with yourself as you develop mastery in areas where you're currently a novice. But here's the difference. This work is aligned. This effort feels purposeful rather than pointless. This learning excites you rather than exhausts you. The Page of Pentacles is telling me that you're planting real seeds right now that are going to grow into something substantial and lasting. This isn't a flash in the pan or a fantasy that fades when reality hits. This is practical magic, the kind where you combine inspiration with perspiration, where you take visionary ideas and bring them into tangible form through consistent effort and attention to detail. What the cards are showing me is that you're being supported in this building process, that the inexplicable forces around you are multiplying your efforts, opening doors, bringing the right people and resources at the right time. But you still have to show up and do your part, still have to be disciplined and dedicated, still have to honor the process of development and growth. The Four of Wands appears, and when I saw this card, I felt this explosion of joy, celebration, and stability all at once. The imagery shows four wands forming a beautiful canopy decorated with garlands and fruit, people dancing and celebrating beneath it, and a castle in the background representing the solid foundation that's been built. This card is about completion of a significant cycle, about reaching a milestone that deserves recognition and celebration, about creating stability and harmony in your life that allows you to finally relax and enjoy what you've created. What this is telling me about where you're headed, Capricorn, is that all of this transformation, all of this uncertainty, all of this work is building towards something genuinely joyful and stable. You're not just moving toward more struggle or more lessons or more challenges. You're moving toward actual happiness, actual success, actual moments where you get to stand back and say, this is good, I did this, I'm proud of this, and I'm going to let myself fully enjoy it. What I'm picking up is that you've spent so much of your life in achievement mode, always focused on the next goal, always measuring yourself against some impossible standard, never allowing yourself to fully celebrate or appreciate what you've already accomplished because you're too busy worrying about what's next. But the Four of Wands is showing me that this new reality includes a different relationship with success and joy. You're learning to be present, to savor the good moments, to celebrate milestones rather than immediately dismissing them as not enough. This card often shows up around home, relationships, and community, so I'm sensing that part of this new direction involves creating or finding your people, your place, your sense of belonging. Maybe this is literally about a physical home or living situation that finally feels right. Maybe it's about a relationship reaching a new level of commitment and stability. Maybe it's about professional recognition or achievement that brings genuine satisfaction. Whatever form it takes, the Four of Wands is confirming that the inexplicable forces moving you aren't just clearing out the old, they're also actively building towards something beautiful that you're going to get to enjoy. The Hanged Man appears, and this card stopped me in my tracks because it's such a powerful symbol of surrender and perspective shift. The Hanged Man hangs upside down from a tree, one leg bent, arms often behind their back, and despite the apparent discomfort of the position, there's peace on their face. They're not struggling, not trying to free themselves. They're surrendering to the experience and gaining profound insight through this complete reversal of normal perspective. What this card is revealing, Capricorn, is that a major part of this reality shift involves you completely letting go of control and allowing yourself to see everything differently. What I'm picking up is that you've been operating from a certain paradigm, certain beliefs about how life works and what you need to do to be successful and safe, and the Hanged Man is showing that those beliefs are being turned completely upside down. Everything you thought you knew is being challenged. Everything you thought was the right way to do things is being questioned, and this is deeply uncomfortable for you because Capricorn energy loves structure, tradition, proven methods, the security of knowing that if you do X, then Y will happen. But what I'm sensing is that the universe is asking you to suspend all of that, to enter a space of not knowing, of being in limbo, of trusting that this uncomfortable suspended state is actually sacred preparation. The hanged man isn't being punished, they're being initiated. They're gaining wisdom that can only come through complete surrender, through releasing attachment to outcomes, through being willing to sacrifice immediate comfort for deeper truth. What this card is telling me is that some of what you're experiencing right now might feel like you're stuck, like nothing is moving, like you're waiting and nothing is happening. But from a higher perspective, everything is happening. You're undergoing an internal transformation that's necessary before the external shift can fully manifest. You're learning to trust in divine timing rather than forcing your own timeline. You're developing patience and faith in ways you never could if things came easily and quickly. The Tower crashes into the reading, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. When this card appears, it represents sudden, disruptive change, the kind that feels like your world is being shaken to its foundation. The Tower shows a tall structure being struck by lightning, the crown blown off the top, figures falling from the windows, everything that seemed solid and permanent being destroyed in an instant. This is the card people fear most in the deck, but what I need you to understand is that the Tower only destroys what was built on false foundations, what was never meant to last, what was keeping you trapped in an old reality that you've outgrown. What this is revealing about your situation, Capricorn, is that part of these inexplicable forces surrounding you involves something that might feel chaotic or catastrophic, but is actually a necessary demolition. I'm picking up that you've been building your life on certain assumptions, certain structures, certain relationships or situations that you thought were permanent, and the Tower is showing that some of these are going to be shaken or removed suddenly and possibly without warning. This could be a sudden realization that changes everything, a relationship ending abruptly, a career situation that falls apart, a belief system that gets completely dismantled. And in the moment when this happens, it feels like disaster. It feels like everything is falling apart. It feels like you're free-falling with nothing to hold on to. But what the Tower is actually doing is clearing space, removing obstacles, destroying limitations that you couldn't let go of on your own because you were too attached or too afraid to walk away. The lightning strike is divine intervention. The universe saying this has to end now so that what's meant to begin can actually start. What I'm sensing is that you might have already experienced some Tower moments recently, or they're coming soon, and your job is to trust that what's being destroyed needed to go. Don't try to hold on to the rubble. Don't try to rebuild what the universe is clearly dismantling. Let it fall, let it end. Trust that what's coming after the Tower is so much better than what you're losing, even though you can't see that yet from inside the chaos. The final card is the Two of Swords, and when this appeared, I felt this tension, this sense of being frozen at a crossroads, unable to move forward because of indecision or fear of making the wrong choice. The figure sits blindfolded with two swords crossed over their heart, protecting themselves but also blocking themselves, water and rocks behind them showing emotional turmoil and obstacles they're refusing to face. The moon above illuminates everything, but they can't see it because of the blindfold they've placed over their own eyes. What this card is revealing as your current challenge, Capricorn, is that despite all of these powerful forces moving, despite all the opportunities and transformations happening around you, there's a part of you that's paralyzed by the weight of decision. You're at a point where you need to choose a direction, commit to a path. Take the blindfold off and see your situation clearly, even if what you see is uncomfortable or scary. But instead, you're in stalemate, using mental defenses and analysis paralysis to avoid actually choosing. Because choosing means accepting risk, means letting go of other possibilities, means you might be wrong. What I'm picking up is that you've been gathering information, weighing pros and cons, trying to figure out the absolutely perfect move that will guarantee success and minimize risk, but really, you're just delaying the inevitable decision that your soul already knows you need to make. The Two of Swords is showing me that you're holding yourself hostage with indecision, using the excuse of not being ready or not having enough information to avoid taking action. But here's the truth the cards are showing me. You're never going to feel completely ready. You're never going to have perfect information. You're never going to eliminate all risk or uncertainty. At some point, you have to choose, and the act of choosing itself creates momentum, opens doors, allows those inexplicable forces to actually move you forward. This card is both a warning and encouragement. The only thing standing between you and this miraculous new direction is your own refusal to commit, to take the blindfold off, to lower those defensive swords and be vulnerable to the unknown. The universe has done its part, arranged circumstances, cleared obstacles, presented opportunities, but you still have free will. You still have to make the choice to step into what's being offered. Capricorn, after seeing all of these cards together, what I want you to understand is that you're in the middle of an absolutely extraordinary shift, one of those pivot points that divides your life into before and after. The forces surrounding you are real, they're powerful, and they're working in your favor, even when it doesn't feel like it. You've been in preparation, being strengthened, being refined, being moved into position for something that's going to completely change your trajectory. But this isn't passive. You're not just a bystander in your own transformation. You have choices to make, leaps to take, surrender to embrace, and old realities to release. The new direction isn't someday in the future, it's right now, and it's waiting for you to remove the blindfold, choose your path, and trust that you're ready even if you don't feel ready. Everything you've been through has prepared you for this moment. Trust yourself, trust the journey, and let yourself be moved by these inexplicable forces toward the reality that's trying to birth itself through you.